Say how y'all doing? Again, this is Freddy Edney or Freddy Live. What I started doing is something that I call pretty much every day, and every day I'm just gonna just talk about some topics that I see on the news that were very, very interesting. So I was listening to one of my favorite, business or social media talent that there is, and Cody Sanchez is the name, by the way, and she's all about building broken businesses. So Cody Sanchez is pretty much did a report on Starbucks, and what's interesting is Starbucks just fired their CEO after 17 months. Just 17 months. That company was worth $114 billion. When they fired him, the company was now only worth $74 billion. That's $40 billion in just roughly under 2 years, just in 17 months. That's a significant loss. So who was this CEO? I think his name was McKinsey. So here's McKenzie's stats. He was again. So what we're gonna all right, this is Freddy Edney. Again, I am the owner of Tech and Media, and essentially what we do is we just consult with businesses and teach them how to use technology to drive media and then to eventually build businesses. So I wanted to start something that I could just do in my spare time and just talk about, news or stuff that's actually going on in business right now. And I listen to a couple of different, social media talents that I look at every day, and I think that their content is relevant, and I think that they're very smart. One of the individuals I look at closely is Cody Sanchez. She believes in building broken businesses. She's very accomplished, et cetera, et cetera. But we don't want to go too much into her. But she essentially broke some news the other day that was interesting to me. So this is essentially about Starbucks. So Starbucks just fired their CEO after like 17 months. Starbucks was worth $114 billion, if I'm not mistaken. And when he left, when he got fired, now they're worth $74 billion. That's like $40 billion lost in just under 2 years, or 17 months essentially. And it's interesting that in just 17 months that someone could essentially lose $40 billion after being the CEO and running their company. So I just want to talk about it a little bit, just so we could find out exactly what happened. So this guy here, I think let's just go ahead and look up his name. So let's go ahead and just do ex-CEO of Starbucks. Right? Let's see where he is. I think this is him right here. Let's see. Let's see. All right. So the ex-CEO of Starbucks, when I'm looking here, I think his name is Laxman Narasimham. If I'm not mistaken, forgive me if I didn't pronounce his name right. But he is an Indian-born American business executive and former CEO of Starbucks and Reckitt. He was also previous the CCO, which is the Chief Commercial Officer of PepsiCo, which is Pepsi. And then he joined Starbucks in the interim, like as CEO around like, I think it's like October 2022. And let's kind of like give like a rundown of essentially who this guy is, right? Like I said, he worked at McKinsey for 19 years until 2012. He rose to the director and location manager for their like New Delhi office, right? And in 2012, he joined Pepsi as their CCO. The interesting thing about this whole thing is he essentially told everyone how to advise, right? But he never actually like ran a business, himself. So in looking at this, right, it's like in corporate America, it's all about a name, right? Who you worked for before, what company you supposedly ran. But at the end of the day, to Cody Sanchez, like these guys actually never like ran a business themselves. They only advise. So these guys are like consultants. They pretty much go in there, they look at data, and they essentially just tell people how to run the company, but never really ran a company themselves. So that's kind of like the thing about corporate America. Like it seems like they only hire resumes, but they don't hire people who actually have like a proven track record. So Starbucks, finally like got their stuff together, and they went out and like actually hired someone who actually has a proven track record of not only advising but ran actual businesses and actually have like accolades of what they've done in those businesses. So let's talk about who actually now is running it. So based on my notes here, they brought in this guy here. His name is, where is it? I just had it. Let's just go ahead and just look it up. So who runs Starbucks now? Who is the CEO of Starbucks? Starbucks. Okay, there we go. So currently, that's what I thought. This guy's name is Brian Niccol. Let's kind of like, essentially just kind of like see like, who this guy really is, right? So we're going to just go to this Wikipedia real quick. Okay, he's an American businessman and the chairman and executive officer of Starbucks, which he started in September 2024, replacing Laxman essentially. And he was previously the chairman of Chipotle up until like August 2024. He's a native of Philadelphia, and he went to Miami University and he studied engineering actually, which is ironic. It's not business, but the guy took Chipotle from 7 billion to 70 billion, right? Before that, he turned Taco Bell into a profit machine. So, I mean, it seems like this guy has some type of track record of actually, running business and making business profitable. Another thing I'm reading here is the day Starbucks announced him as the CEO, the stocks jumped to $20 billion. $20 billion. That's just $20 billion short of the almost 2 years that this guy Laxman, pretty much in less than 2 years lost $40 million. So immediately they went up $20 billion, right? And the next thing too is just right after that, they handed him a $113 million contract. If a guy's gonna make you $20 billion in just one day, he definitely deserved that $113 million contract. Another thing too is here's the truth, right? Operators build and consultant advise, right? Me as a consultant right now helping businesses use technology and media to actually drive their business to make it profitable. Me as a consultant for like over 20 years, I understand what we consultants do, right? We go in there, we do assessment, risks, mitigation, et cetera, and then we devise and advise a plan and how the company could be profitable, right? But actually, you need someone who understands business and has ran business before in order to make that consultation that we advise to be profitable. So at the end of the day, you still need someone who can actually run the business. And I think that's very, very, very important. So as consultant, my job essentially is to just look at the company as a whole, look at the data, and then advise based on my research, which is that data, on how I think that you should, run the company and what direction the company should go in. Well, you essentially hire people who never built a company, and then so don't be shocked when they burn it down and run it into the ground. Seems like a world that cares more about resumes than receipts. Just be the one who bring the receipts is my thing. So yeah, that's my take on Starbucks, on them changing out CEO and how well the new CEO was able to take the company or bring it back to essentially, the 2-year loss that they garnered since they hired Waxman. So again, man, this is Freddy Edney. What we do here at Tech and Media is we just use tech and media to advise businesses to help them to be profitable and then find out their pain points. And by finding out their pain points, we're able to advise them and help them to be better. So again, man, this is Freddy Edney, and that's about it.